Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk through the logon process to get onto SAPs. It's reasonably straightforward, but there's a couple of things you just want to be aware of as we go into it. All right, so what I've done is I've actually updated the team information, the team assignment page with uh, what we'll need for the log on to be able to log on to the system. So basically, kind of here we are. Um, so we're going to be executing the fitter snack lab exercise. All right. Each team is assigned a single logon ID. So all three members of the team will be sharing a common ID. So only one person could be logged on at a time. All right. Um, the URL is this URL right here, this HTTPS/s perth. Um, as we said, this is on SAP specific logon. So the system is accessible on the internet. All right. The initial password for everyone is fitter2. All right. And the other bit of information we need is what we call the client, which is 415. All right, so I'll show you kind of how this all fits together. Um, so here's the teams. Uh, Obviously, this is for section 31. Um, so they'll have different numbers. So this is uh, section 31 goes from FSO4 to FS12, and then section 32 goes from 14. I think it's like 20 something, somewhere in that range. All right, but what we have here, so we have the login ID. So this is what we're going to put in for the login ID. And this is the password. Right now, the thing to remember about the password is two things. Number one is the password is case sensitive. All right, so when we enter the password, we have to enter exactly capital F, capital I, capital T, T, E, R, 2 for the initial password. First thing it'll do is it'll say, great, you're logging in. We have to change your password. So we'll have to go through a password change um, sequence. All right. And so we'll have to put a password. We'll have to re-enter the fitter2 uppercase and then put a new password in. Okay. My suggestion is what I'm doing with my account is I'm actually changing the fitter2 capital fitter2 to just lowercase fitter2. You can choose what you want. Whatever you choose, make sure you write it down so you can get back into the system. All right. All right. So let's try to log into the system here. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight this. I'm going to actually just copy it. All right. And what happens is, just to let you know, what happens is you may be able to get this to go. Maybe be able to double click on this, and it might take you there. However, I've been finding it's kind of a mixed bag. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So the one way I know always works is if I come up here and if I just simply paste my string there into the into my search bar, press return, and boom, it comes back with this SAP Web Application Server. All right. Now, what happens here with this particular setup is it says username password. It's got this wired up a certain way. So what you need to do is for the client, you want to erase these three and enter 415, which is the client. All right. You don't have to enter anything else on the screen. Just click log on. All right. And what it'll do is it'll come back with a login prompt. All right. So if we look, the login ID will be this number right here for each team. I'm going to use FS13 because I reserved that one. and the password will be uppercase fitter2. So let's see if we how this works. So I'm going to say fs-13, all right, and then the password will be FITTER uppercase. All right. And I will click log on. And it'll come back and it'll say your password has to be changed. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to re-enter my uppercase fitter2. And my new password, I'm just simply going to make it a lowercase fitter2. And I'll click change. And you can say not now. And what it'll do is it'll then prompt us to log back in again. All right. So I'm going to come back in. I'm going to do my fs-13 and I'll enter my lowercase fitter2, and I'm going to click login. And we are in. Okay, so we've gotten access into the SAP system across the internet. All right. So you have to kind of, as I said, you want to take a look kind of at that process. So that's why I wanted to record it. Do a quick, I guess a quick menu I can give you, kind of walk you through the SAP stuff. So there's a user menu, which actually has only those transactions we need. All right. So if you look at this, this is actually the order to cash process. So I clicked on the user menu. So I created an inquiry. I'm going to create a sales order from the inquiry. I'm going to create a delivery from the sales order. I'm going to pick and post goods issue the order. I'm going to create an invoice for the customer, and we're going to get paid by the customer. All right, so I can use that. All right, now the actual SAP menu, if I click the SAP menu, this gives me all of the different features, all the different functions that we can do inside of an ERP system. So we've got things like there's a built-in office functionality. So it's kind of like it has some capabilities. It has logistics, which is really what we're working at right now. So the order to cash and procure to pay are both within logistics. Okay, so it will be under sales and distribution, a combination of sales and distribution and logistics execution. All right, but we have other features here. We're talking around the whole, basically what is in an ERP system. So we have materials management, which is actually what we will use for the procure to pay, which is the next part of the exercise we'll be doing. We have production, which is around scheduling, developing and scheduling manufacturing jobs. We have plant maintenance, which is maintenance of all of our systems and equipment and technical infrastructure in the organization. Customer service, quality management, logistics controlling. So these are all of the different pieces that this thing can do. We're going to be interested primarily in sales and distribution. All right. So, and then specifically to show you, so the user menu has everything directly. All right. But if I go through the menu here, just to show you. So this is one of the things you might want to just kind of play around with so you get a little familiar with how this thing works. It's got we have our menu system here. So if I do a pull down, what you will see is in the instructions, what it'll do is it'll give you a list of the different, basically where in the menu path we need to go. All right. So in our case, what we'll be doing is a lot of the stuff we'll be doing is through logistics, sales and distribution. All right. I believe it's going to be under. No, actually, it's going to be under. I believe it'll be under sales. All right. So part of what we see under sales, the different things we can do within sales. So we can do an inquiry of stuff. We can generate a quote, or we can do an inquiry. Remember, we said first step is that the preliminary step is somebody would come in and express interest in a product or actually get a quote from us. All right, so that's these two functions right here. If I click that, you'll see there's a particular pattern how this works. All right, so within sales, I'll have an inquiry. If I click inquiry, I'll see a create change display. If I do quotation, create change display. All right, order processing, create change display, and some other functions as well. All right. So this is where we're going to be working at. All right. This is where we're going to be doing the majority. This is going to be doing everything. It's in the lab exercise. All right. So the lab exercise itself. Right, you'll find that here. The lab exercise itself is in our modules. If we go into our modules, go all the way down to our ERP. It's right here. All right. What you'll see is this is the presentation we did. This is the team assignments. This is our updated team assignments. All right. This is the actual instructions. All right. So this is the 38-page document, which explains all the things we need to do with this. All right. So all of the data, yes. So all of the data that we have in this, that's in this system is set. So everything is set up. So your number, when you log in, so say for example, if you're team 12 or 13 or whatever, if you are that number, everything you'll see this. It's what we're referencing here. So what you'll see is instructions in here. You'll see a pound. Wherever you see a pound, you replace it with your number. All right. So it's like if you're team 12 and you see in the instructions, go to pound or pound, replace it. If you're team 12, replace it with 12. Okay. So this actually walks us through, as I said, it's pretty detailed. That's why it's a bit long. All right. So our first step, so we're going to walk through this whole processing. So that gives you screenshots and everything. So we say an inquiry is a non-binding price quotation to a customer that tells a price of a specific product. All right. So we're going to create a inquiry for, this is your team number, West Hills Athletic Club. To do so, we'll go to logistics, sales and distribution, sales, inquiry, create. And it will create a screen. It will pull up a screen. So this is the screen. All right. And we will want to enter this information as we see this. Okay, so the inquiry type is going to be IN. The sales organization is going to be your team number, FS. DI is going to stand for the distribution channel. And SB is going to be division. If you recall, when we were talking about the structure that's inside these systems, that's what all this stuff makes reference to. So all that structure for the sales processing is already set up in the system, so we don't have to set it up, but we will be referencing it as we use it. Okay. And then this step you through, do these, enter those, do the enter icon, and it'll show us, everything is there. So this will step you through the every step along the way, kind of guide you through. So it gets a little. I mean, so what I suggest you do is um, actually go through the go through the first part. And so the first part is the inquiry. All right, create an inquiry, which will take you up through. Search term will be our number. All right, so it'll take us all the way through to here. Let's see, just after this. So we're actually going to be we're actually going to be selecting the products and putting it into an inquiry. Right, so actually this is the first wave of stuff here. First 9-10 pages of this are all dealing with the creation of the inquiry. All right. So my suggestion is go through this process. Okay, do this process. Do the first one, inquiry, and I believe I have to. Let's see real quick. Inquiry. So you have to double click on it. So once you create, now what will happen is you'll create when you create an inquiry, it will when you're at the end at the bottom of the screen, what you'll see a message. It says, inquiry such and such with a number is created. Write that number down. All right, it's another thing. As you're going through this process, it will help you as you create a document, as you're creating things, and the system is giving you messages back. Write them down, which will help us to go through. But once we have the inquiry, we can then use this what they say document flow. All right. So what happens is we talked about this kind of how as this process executes, it's creating a new document for every step along the way. All right. So the inquiry creates a document. The sales order creates a document. The delivery creates a document. The billing creates a document. So there's a document along the way. And the way the system works is this display document flow is what we use to check on the status and see where we are at in the process. All right, so this will give us a snapshot of where we're at. And I believe we should be able to do this after we create the first inquiry that we will be using to create the sales order. Once we do that, you should be able to enter that number and then click display document flow. All right, and see where you're at. So that would be my suggestions of how we would get started with this. Okay, and then we'll walk through this. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go through and create another video, kind of actually doing the execution of this. So really the focus of this is really just on the login process. So we need to get through the login process first and get started with the creation of an inquiry. So I'm going to post this up. Take a run at it. Any problems? Give me a holler. Because actually one of the things I'll be able to do is actually be able to check to see how things are, see how things are progressing in the system as you're going. All right, and that's about it. All right.